One. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the halftime show here at Royce City ISD Stadium, where the Bulldogs trail Mesquite 17-14 at the half. This halftime show brought to you by Vice Henley, attorneys and counselors at law. Thank you so much to them, guys. What can we say about that second half? It was sloppy. There was yellow flags everywhere, and the game was not flowing. It's eerily, it's quiet. It's just odd tonight.
Yes.
What do you guys see out there?
Well, hey man, listen, I am extremely disappointed in this crowd and in this football team. I don't know who showed up tonight, but it's not the Royce City Bulldogs, and it's crap, because they've been ready all week long. They knew what they were going to get, and they knew how big this freaking game was. And then we come out here and we stink it up like this. This is ridiculous, man. I don't know what's going on. And I hope they're doing something in the locker room, because the second half is notoriously not great for us.
Well, Royce City's fortunate, too, to have a touchdown that could have been called, but it was called a touchback. They get the ball back. Sam Mitchum, he's got a couple touchdowns tonight. They've got a little bit out of him, but overall, I mean, just 214 yards to Mesquite's 250 yards. Again, the penalties, 4 for 30 for Royce City, 5 for 45 yards for Mesquite. Mesquite has the one turnover. Brandon, I mean, what did you see? What were you guys seeing up there, Jason? I mean, it just didn't seem like the game was flowing.
I mean, the keys of the game that we kind of talked about earlier, big plays. You got to minimize big plays, and there's already been a couple of big plays that have happened, but they haven't been on Royce City's side. It's been Mesquite's side. You know, we also said early on, number 11 was going to be a guy that we had to stick close to and not let him get his legs started, and it just seems that we're playing 7-8 yards off that guy. They're throwing a quick hot route to him. And when he's getting his legs are so hot and so fast, it's just hard to get a hold of. You've got to stop that kid before he starts.
Yeah, Jamarian Woods, 131 yards, receiving 2 touchdowns, and again, their quarterback's been very efficient. I believe he is. Let's see here, I got it, 9 of 11. 179 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not a lot. It doesn't feel like a lot of offense going on out there, but again, the Bulldogs just can't get in rhythm, and it's just.
What have we done on the offensive side of the ball tonight? Like, how many yards does Sam have?
Sam has rushing. He has. Sorry about that. He's got 50 yards, and Kenneth Spring has 63.
Okay.
They're both averaging under 4 yards a carry.
And like James is saying, this is an entirely different team. Entirely different team from what we saw in preseason. The first 2 district games to tonight, they look like they have no heart in it right now.
Yeah,
it looks like there's no buy-in.
You cannot run Kenny every play.
Yeah. Well,
you can't do it.
I think what's happening, guys, is defensively they're putting an even front out, right? So they got a 4-man front. And when you have a 4-man front and you only have 5 linemen out there blocking, it's really tough on them, especially when we had to bring in a new center. But when we're doing our different packages out there, they are bringing more into the box than we can block. Then when we're bringing out our package, they're actually making really good adjustments. But what I'd look forward to in the second half is I believe that we found something when we run trips. They're floating an extra defender over to the trip side, and they're leaving the backside available. The reason they've in my opinion, the reason Royce City's ran Kenny so much is when they're doing that, they're using the back as a lead blocker for Kenny. But one thing I would like to see is maybe a direct snap to Mitchum and let Kenny lead block, because Mitchum's legs are just a little more electric, and I do think Kenny can throw a good block. So I know that's unorthodox in high school football, but a direct snap like that could work on the backside, because Mitchum, just that little bit more of a kick, could have probably got us a house call a few times, the same way our quarterback got us 20 to 30.
Yeah, now that we know that number 11 is not going to beat Branch deep, okay, Branch will run with him step for step. Stop playing 10 yards off of him and letting him hit him on a hitch. Play up on him and put some pressure on the guy. Lay hands on him right off the line. Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah, he's when he gets the ball, he's just got space and he's got room to do whatever he wants to do. I mean, he's broken a couple of runs, and he's making the difference. I'll go back to the penalties. I hope this game feels like the refs are putting their hands in it, and I hope this game doesn't come down to them figuring the outcome. They're gonna be the outcome of the game.
See, and at this point, the refs shouldn't even matter. They shouldn't even be contention. This score should not be this close right now going into half. We shouldn't be down going into half.
Yeah, Brandon, you talked about some adjustments they make. I mean, do they got to? You talked about maybe doing some things for Sam and letting Kenny lead. What is it for the Bulldogs? I mean, Jonah's been close. They've been close. They're throwing the ball deep to him, but they just have not been able to pull it in.
Jonah actually was wide open in the end zone. Great throw. It was a little bit underthrown, and it hit him in his hands. And I even said to him, that's not normally a ball that he drops. If he catches that ball, I mean, we're up another touchdown. The problem for the Bulldogs now is coming out second half, they don't get the ball first again. Mesquite gets the ball. So, again, you got to lean on the defense to get that stop so Roy City can come back out and score right after that.
Yeah, look, we've got to forget about the first half. It's over with. They need to come out here and play like they don't typically play in the second half, and they need to come out and put pressure on them and make a stop. We need a stop. If they go out and score on their first possession, we may be in trouble.
It's going to be hard.
Well, I can tell you, we talked last week about two different conversations going on in the locker room. This week, to me, it's just the opposite, right? I believe the Bulldogs are getting hammered in there right now. And I think the Skeeters coaches are probably saying, we need to go back out and do exactly what we did the first half, except for just execute a little bit better. Because two different times they had executed, there would have been another 14 points on the board. So I don't think they're going to make a lot of adjustments. They're just going to talk to their kids about execution. That could hurt them in the long run, because if there are some adjustments made on the Roy City side, then we can start attacking the weak side of their defense there and blowing it up and really get a running game started.
And listen, with this said, I don't want to take away anything from Mesquite, because they came out playing exactly like they should. Like, hey, we need to win this to stay in it.
Right.
Roy City didn't. So I don't want to take anything from Mesquite. They're playing well.
Because we got to look at it from this standpoint is that Rockwall's Rockwall.
Yep.
They're in a position they're driving the bus. Horn has already showed that they're riding passenger with Rockwall. Everybody else in this district is vying for a spot, and it's wide open. Everybody else is vying for a spot. It's who's going to step up in these game situations like this, these games that matter. Who's going to step up and make the plays, execute, and move on and say, you know what, I'm on the bus now.
We are too far into this season for us not to have put together a complete game. And we haven't done that all year.
No.
Yeah, we come out here the first two games and ran the score up, but that's against a lesser team. We have not put together a complete ball game all season long, and we're not going to go very far if we can't put something together.
Brandon, the defense. I mean, listen. I mean, they've allowed 17 points. I mean, they're keeping the offense in the game at the moment. Is as much success as number 11 has had for the Skeeters. They're still in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's some defensive things that we've also done. We meaning Roy City in the past few weeks that have been really, helpful. We used a linebacker to come stack over the top of their number one receiver in a couple of games, and then we blow up the receiver and then come back in and make our linebacker, status, right? We'd still cover our C, cover our B, cover whatever gap we had, but we would disrupt the route. Something like that could be used out there on the outside edge, even though it's a smaller receiver. He's not that big. I'd have absolutely nothing wrong with one of our big guys going up in his face and just mashing him, but with a mindset of, hey, I'm still just going to play my position and let Branch play on the top or our other corner play on the top. I'd like to see something like that happen. I think roughing up a kid like that would be a good thing.
Yeah, look, we have to make tackles too, right? We've been letting them slide. We've been sliding off of them, and I don't understand. We have to make
there's been some missed tackles out there, and I think if you're going to point to some of the scoring that Mesquite's had, it's because they just haven't tackled, and that in large part is the amount of room that they're giving these playmakers.
Yes.
Because they're going to make them miss. So yeah, they need to tighten some things up.
I think Branch just misjudged the sideline over there. See, you're taught as a cornerback to not necessarily funnel the guy back in. You're actually taught to use the sideline as the 12th defender. And I think Branch tried to set his feet and then use the sideline as 12th defender, which means just push the man out of bounds. And as he went to push, the kid was so fast, he got a hand in his back and actually elevated him to push him towards end zone. So that was just missed timing out there, really. I think he was in a pretty good position. He's being asked to play off. So it's not I always say it's not always a kid's fault, it's a scheme fault, right? So from a scheme situation, if you're going to play 7 yards off, the kid's 7 yards off. He's being asked to play 7 yards off. So, but with that being said, he's got to close the distance and settle early versus close the distance knowing the guy's so fast because when you close one step too much, the guy gets by you. You got to close and stay within a yard and a half to where then you're athletic enough to get that push out of bounds.
Yep.
And I think he learned from that because the next few times it happened, we seemed to be pretty square on the sideline.
Bulldogs trail 17-13 at the half against Mesquite Skeeters, and this is a big game. We're just some quick scores. Rockwall up 42-0 over North Forney at the half. I mean, I think you called it. You said their Rockwall is just going to go do work. So, we know what they're doing. Heath is off. I need to check in on Horn, I believe, and Tyler Legacy. But, I mean, right now this game is for anybody right now. And the team that comes out and, asserts themselves on the ground running the ball, I think that's the team that's going to win this game.
We got to get back to our true identity. We got to get back to our style of Bulldog football. And if we don't execute it and establish it early in the second half, it's going to be a long 2 quarters.
I made the comment during film on Monday with the coaches, don't let this be a trap game. Don't let it be a trap. You're coming off a loss at Rockwall, big deal. You were positive coming out of it. You're feeling good about yourself even though you lost. Now everybody's saying, oh, Mesquite's average. Well, they're out here whooping your butt right now. So what are you going to do?
Yeah. I do have a score for Mesquite Horn. Tyler Legacy is leading at the half 16-14 over Mesquite Horn. So right now that's obviously has a major impact what's going on in the district as well. Yeah, so just some final thoughts here. I know, James, you're fired up, but I think the Bulldogs can get back. They can get back in this game. They got to come out, though. They got to be a little bit more physical on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah,
I think.
Listen, I'm going to be optimistic and say that we're making adjustments at halftime. We're going to come out. We're going to get a stop on the first drive. We're going to take the ball and go and score, and that's going to be the ball game. That's where I'm setting at.
And don't forget, this Mesquite coach came from Cedar Hill. Defensive coach. He was highly, everybody wanted this coach, and he comes over. He's got a defensive presence about him, so he's so far he's done the job. But I think the Bulldogs have kind of hurt themselves in some situations.
I haven't seen enough tape to know if they were running a odd front, before if it's a 3-man or 5-man front on other teams. But this 4-man front they've got, the 4 guys that are up front are fairly physical, and we are having to double team them. And when we're not double teaming them, they're able to get a hand on our guy and get them down with a 2 to 3 yard gain. And that's not normal with our guy, right? Yeah. We've also had some opportunities with multiple backs when they get to the ball. They're trying to outrun speed, and you always have to know who you're playing. You're not going to outrun speed, so you have to bring power to speed. And we have a back that brings power, but he just has to decide this time not to cut outside and to elevate, turn to the goalpost, and get those extra yards. And when he decides to do that, he's going to be successful in this game.
Yeah, listen, it's going to be a good one this coming. We got about 10 minutes before halftime here. Again, Mesquite leading 17-14. Guys, just some final thoughts before we go. I mean, obviously, hey, the Bulldogs just got to kick it in gear, find a way to win a tough game.
That's what it boils down to, is that they got a man up. They got a big boy up right now.
Yeah, they got to figure out what they want to do.
Yeah.
Do they want to go to the next step and play big boy football, or do we just want to settle for being okay?
Yeah, because I think, hey, listen, this is, they played North Forney, who was moving up to 6A. They played Rockwall, obviously, but this is their first 6A kind of test. It's a team that's right there with them. And so, this is going to be a big half for them to say, hey, we're here to play in 6A.
And this is a very big game. And like you're saying, is that it's a game that, quite honestly, you look at it on paper, yeah, we were supposed to beat North Forney. Rockwall beat us. Yeah, you're supposed to get beat by Rockwall. This is a game that either team could win. We've got to take the initiative and take the game to them and put this second half away and do it early, because the longer we let them stay in the game, the more opportunity we're going to allow them to
Confidence.
I don't think Mesquite has the quarterback to have to throw touchdowns to beat this team. You look at, they're throwing short little passes, and that's how he's getting all his yards. It's not like he's throwing 20-yard, 30-yard, outs and go routes to these kids. He's just playing what the defense is giving him, and they got to take that away from him.
Well, I mean, Mesquite Skeeters, Mesquite Horn, Tyler Legacy, and Roy City all have really just been thrown in as one big glob, right? They're trying to figure out who's going to come out on top. And it's a statement game if you come back out this second half, put points on the board, win this ball game, and the numbers will speak they used to speak in the newspaper. Now they're going to speak electronically on the websites, right? But they're going to speak to those kids and let them know who you are, because until you actually see somebody as a young one nowadays, you really don't know what they're about. Obviously, these kids thought that they could come out and roll through mesquite skeeters, and the skeeters have showed up and stung them with that little old stinger, right?
Yep.
So it's time to come out and be a dog and slap that skeeter. Let's get the dub, and let's go back to work, and let's get better week after week.
I think that's all there's to be said about it. Hey, it's going to be a good second half. I appreciate everybody tuning in and everybody watching and some texts and things like that. Guys, let's get ready. This is it right here. Second half. This is a big game for us.
Come on, Bulldogs.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody tuning in. We will catch you guys next game. We'll be home here again doing this for the Rockwall Heath game. So it's senior night. So we'll catch you guys then. You guys have a good night. We will see you on game day.